Hi folks, Robin from Red Fez here. Today we've got a product review and we're looking at this, the Swissonic UA 2x2 audio interface. So let's crack open the box and let's take a look at what we get. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the box and what you get with the Swissonic UA 2x2. So it's quite simple packaging. There's not actually a lot of information on here. Now this brand, Swissonic, is only available from Tommen, and once this turned up I realised why, because if I look at the box it actually says Tommen on the side and has their address, so it looks like this is Tommen's own brand, but rather than kind of call it Tommen, they've picked a fancy name like Swissonic. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of white labelled and rebranded from China, and you try to give it a fancy name that people think sounds cool. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I don't know. Let's have a look at what's in the box. So obviously the very important USB cable, so this end's going to go into the audio interface, that end's going to go into your computer. I think it probably only needs USB 1 to be perfectly honest with you. A little bag with a driver disc, so if you've got an optical drive you can make use of that. And two instruction manuals, actually one in German, one in English, and it's quite well packaged up with a little bit of, well, it's not polystyrene, it's kind of that, I don't know, foamy sort of material really. So let's just take this out, leave the box to one side, and this becomes packaged again in a little bit more plastic, so let's take it out of there. There we go. So it's actually a silver box. On the pictures on the website it looked like it was white, but it's actually silver. But I quite like these fake wooden side panels, and I must admit I was taken in a bit by the looks, because it's going to sit on top of an amp which looks very, very similar. So hey, look, I was taken in by the bling. Anyway, what you want to know is what features we've got. So it's actually quite heavy. It feels like it's quite good quality. Although I have noticed, and I don't know if you can see on here, so that focuses in, that you see it's a little bit wonky. So there's a bit of a gap at this side, but not at this side, between the front panel and the bottom panel. I don't know if you can see that. Build quality, I've got to flag that up. It's almost like it doesn't quite fit together quite as it should. So, bit of a thumbs down for that one. Very simple on the back, your USB socket and your right and left output sockets. They just take 1/4 inch jacks. And then the front panel, where all the wonderful things happen. You've obviously got your two inputs. And these are the combi inputs, so they'll take the 1/4 inch jacks or they'll take XLR. That's really useful for me because I might want to run two guitars in, or I might want to run two vocal mics, not just a simple kind of guitar and vocal. Some of the audio interfaces in this price range with this spec often only give you the option of one 1/4 inch jack in and one XLR, but this gives you the opportunity to be quite flexible with that. So that's a thumbs up. It does have 48 volt phantom power as well, and that is enabled by this switch here. Okay, so your two inputs, and obviously you've got two separate gain controls, so you can alter the input volume on each of those, and there's also a switch on each one which allows you to alter it between mic and line inputs. So obviously if you've got something like a guitar going in, then you're going to want that on line. Obviously if you're using a microphone, then you want that on microphone. Interesting as well, monitoring. You can turn the monitoring off, you can have it in mono, or you can have it in stereo. Now just another thing on the build quality, I'm hoping you can, I don't know if it's focusing in particularly well, but it doesn't go all the way to this side. There's a bit of a gap between the button and the actual hole in the chassis. So again, not quite as nice as it should be. It doesn't look shoddy from a distance, it's just as you get a little bit closer, really. You've also got a massive volume control. And actually that's a nice smooth knob, so that's actually pretty good. I like the feel of that. I always like them where there's a little bit of resistance. That reminds me of a nice kind of good quality 70s hi-fi system. I quite like that. And then here you've got the volume for the monitoring as well, so you can blend in the monitor into the earphones as what you want. You've got a standard again 1/4 inch stereo jack out. Okay, and obviously if you can use an adapter in there if you want to. So that's no problem. So that is basically what it looks like. They're the features. I guess what we've got to do now is we've got to get this thing connected up, and we've got to have a listen and see how it sounds. Okay folks, so this is video being shot using my normal webcam, but the audio is now coming in through the Swissonic audio interface. Now I've already done a little test shoot and listened back to the audio and compared it to the audio in the previous clips, and actually I think the audio from the Swissonic is actually better than the setup we had before. Just to give you a little bit of context, we had the audio going into a Behringer mixing desk and then going out to a Behringer UCA 202 USB audio interface. That was a temporary setup as our Lexicon Alpha had decided to give up the ghost. And all of that sounds okay actually. I do think the Swissonic has got the edge for me. This is a much fuller sound, it's a much closer sound, and makes much more use of the condenser microphone that we're using, which is a Behringer B2. So there we go, that's the equipment that we're using to give you this review and demonstration. So what's my overall summary of the Swissonic UA 2x2? Well, to be perfectly honest, I'll forgive the build quality issues, because as I've been using it and as I've been installing it, it does feel like a solid unit. It doesn't feel flimsy at all. The sound so far, as I can tell, is really, really good. I've played back some music as well, and I actually thought it sounded fantastic, and even put some headphones on, and again I was really impressed with the sound. There seems to be a very, very low noise threshold. I can't really hear any background noise in there at all, and that's really important when you're doing recording. So far I think it cuts the mustard, and I think it's going to be a very good product, and at the end of the day you're looking at just over 50 quid for it. So in that respect, it's a really good value solution. So if you're looking at a kind of a cheap, no nonsense, but 24-bit, yeah, 24-bit, and it will do 96 kilohertz as well. So 2496 USB audio interface. That I don't think you can really go wrong with the Swissonic. You can pay a lot more money for the same stuff, and is that going to be any better? I don't know. All I know is the Swissonic seems to do the job. Obviously we'll need to use it a little bit more in anger and see how well it copes and fares, but actually I'm pretty confident that it's going to work well. So thank you very much for watching this video. Please do comment, rate and subscribe, and you have a good day. Well, we'll see you soon.